So about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to go to university. So I signed up as a mature student, which basically means, I think, you're an old guy who's realized he should really have paid more attention at school. Listen to the teachers instead of fucking around, chasing girls, playing rugby. So anyway, I signed up, and part of the course was to do an international business trip to Japan, which is cool because I've always wanted to go there. So me and my mate Grant, we decided we were going to go to Japan 2 weeks ahead of everybody else and just spend some time traveling and backpacking and just see the joint, And we did, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant because we had absolutely no plan. We had no itinerary. We had no clue what we were going to do. And every day we'd pretty much wake up, look at the map, pick a place to go to and just go there. And as a consequence, we visited some really off the beaten track kind of places. And stayed in some interesting accommodation. We stayed in capsule hotels, which was an example, which is basically just a coffin with a TV. We stayed at a Buddhist temple once that was entirely staffed by female monks. Nothing like Castle Anthrax, if you're a Monty Python fan, by the way. This other time we stayed at a men's hostel, and the room they gave me was so small. It was tiny. It was so small. I couldn't actually lie down straight in it, and it was the most uncomfortable night's sleep. And when I got up in the morning, the staff looked at me really weird, and then they pointed out the room that I was supposed to have stayed in, which was normal size. Turns out that I'd accidentally slept the night in one of their storage cupboards. What a dick. So it was brilliant. We loved our trip, and the thing that we most loved about Japan was that the people there were so friendly. They were super friendly, and they, particularly if they knew you came from New Zealand, they love New Zealand. They love Kiwis. They love the All Blacks. Love everything about this place. Yeah. Except for this one place that we went to, which was called Taiji. So we saw this on the map, and it was a little coastal town, and it was about 200 kilometers of rail journey to get there, which followed the coastline all the way up, and we thought that would be quite interesting. So we just decided to go to Taiji. And from the moment we got off the train, we didn't feel welcome at all. The security guy on the platform was rude as all fuck. The guy in the station behind the counter, we asked him for their equivalent of the Yellow Pages, and he literally threw the book at us. So we found a place to stay. It was about 5 kilometers away from the station, so we started walking, and like I said, it was a little coastal town, and in the harbour we saw one of these giant whaling ships. One of those ones you see on TV with all the Greenpeace dinghies buzzing around it. It was one of them. So that's quite interesting. Took some photos, and we went past a little park, and they had a full blue whale skeleton which had been mounted for display. It was quite impressive. So we stopped and took some photos of that. They had a little aquarium there that we went around. That was a bit shoddy. That was alright. They had dolphins, and had a albino dolphin. Had some little minke whales and a beluga whale. It was interesting. They took photos, walked around, tried to talk to the locals. They just wouldn't have a bar of it, eh? It's like fucking weirdos. Yeah, so we carried on walking, and by now it was sort of mid to late afternoon. It was blazing hot, and we went past this little lagoon, a very picturesque lagoon. I said to Grant, I said, nah, fuck, I'm hot, let's go for a swim. So we pulled into this lagoon, stripped down to our shorts and hopped in the water. It was splashing around like idiots. And next thing, all of a sudden, about 4 or 5 cop cars pulled up lights going and sirens going. All these cops piled out of the car and started yelling at us. So we had no idea what they were saying. They were all speaking hobbly-gobbly. They're yelling at us, so we get out of the water and they bundled us up into the police cars, grabbed all of our stuff, stuffed it in the back. And I'm thinking, Jesus, what have we done? Have we like inadvertently killed some kind of endangered whelk, or have we swum in the sacred waters of the ancestors? What the hell's going on? But they didn't. Well, they said a lot of stuff. We had no idea what they were saying. They took us to the cop shop, put us in this interrogation room, and just started berating us again in Japanese. They're like, dude, if you're going to make the effort to shout, at least have your target understand what the fuck you're saying. It's futile. Anyway, so eventually some dude turned up that spoke English. He is super aggressive, just like the other bastards. And he said, what are you doing here? And we said, well, we're just traveling here. We're traveling around Japan. So no, what are you doing in Taiji? So I said, well, we saw it on the map. We thought it would be a nice place to visit. That was clearly a mistake. Turns out, Taiji is actually really famous. Well, infamous. Because every year they do a massive dolphin cull there, where they herd these dolphins up and bash them. And that little lagoon where we had been for a swim was actually the lagoon that they herd all the dolphins into and do the bashing. They actually made a movie about this, by the way, called The Cove. And if you've got the stomach for it, you should watch it. It's quite horrific. Anyway, so every year Taiji gets all of these people coming there from all around the world, protesters and activists and eco-terrorists. They come there and try and stop the culls, and you got the whole whaling thing going on because it's a whaling port as well. Jesus, so now we're trying to convince this guy that we're not here for that at all. We're just here to visit. We're just touring. It didn't help that Grant had a Sea Shepherd t-shirt in his bloody bag, but we ended up ringing the dean of the university in Auckland, and got him to try and convince him that we were just students, nothing nefarious at all. Yeah. The problem is that the guy told us that if it turned out that we were activists or protesters, they could hold us for 3 months until the whaling season was over. And I sure as hell didn't want to stay there for 3 months. So we're sitting there shitting ourselves, and eventually this guy comes in after they've been muttering amongst themselves and says, we've decided what we're going to do with you. Say, oh, what's that? So we're going to take you to dinner. Now, Japan, as a rule, is weird. It's an odd place. But as a punishment for being an activist, you're going to take me to dinner. So their thinking was, there's a restaurant in Taiji which specializes in whale and dolphin meat. And they figured if they took us there and we refused to eat, then we must be activists. And so they could hold us. And I was quite relieved, because clearly by the shape of me you can tell that I'll eat anything. I don't care. I'll put it in my face. But Grant was a different story. He's quite a staunch Kiwi, and he loves his planet and he's big into his conservation, and I just said to him, man, dude, you're just going to have to rein it in, eat what you're given, so that we can get the fuck out of this town. And so the cops took us to this restaurant, and it turned out that another one of their specialties was turtle. So me and Grant had to sit and eat whale and dolphin and turtle and they really did lay out a banquet. There was all manner of different dishes. There was sushimi, and there was normal sushi, and there was, you know, stuff fried up with chilies and on rice, and it was a real banquet. And we just sat and we ate it. All of those cute Disney animals that you saw in Finding Nemo, we ate those bastards. And then the cop said, okay, fair enough, you can go now, but we want you out of town. And next morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, me and Grant got up, packed our bags, and we got the fuck out of Dodge. So if you ever go to Japan, and I encourage you to, because it's a brilliant place, it's awesome, don't go to Taiji. It's a shithole full of bad people who do bad things. Go somewhere nice. There are other good places in Japan to go to. Anyway, love you all.